Hey guys, so now it's the final part of the Anne Rice trilogy of videos, as it were. And first up, Exit to Eden. This is one of her soft porn type of things, I expect. Erotic literature, sorry. So, welcome to the club. It's there to satisfy your deepest desires, if you can afford to indulge them. Mysterious, elegant, sparkling in the Caribbean sun, pulsating in the velvet nights, the lights never go out, the champagne never stops flowing, and the rich and beautiful play tantalising games of dominance and submission in 1,000 satin-lined bedrooms. This is Eden, where the lash of desire meets the silken bonds of love. Lisa is a perfectionist, the mastermind, mistress of the exquisite subtleties of the bound and the free. Elliot is the client, burned out, reckless to explore the uncharted waters of the forbidden. In their explosive meeting, as the thin line between pain and pleasure, lust and love begins to blur, they discover the most dangerous secret of all, that Eden is the state of the heart and the mind where the age-old power of innocence and love can still be recaptured. Yes, indeed. Feast of All Saints. This was all about the antebellum South, New Orleans, and the, as she refers to them, the free people of colour, mixed race, and she describes them like a whole range from those who would, as they say, pass as white to those who you would think were full African American. So, in the days before the Civil War, there lived a Louisiana people unique in Southern history. For though they were descended from African slaves, they were also descended from the French and Spanish who had enslaved them. They were the gens de couleur libre, the free people of colour, and in this dazzling historical novel, Anne Rice chronicles the lives of 4 of their number, men and women caught perilously between the worlds of master and slave, privilege and oppression, passion and pain, and it was fascinating. Next, Cry to Heaven. This was all about the castrati opera singers in the Renaissance Italy. It was absolutely fascinating. There you see that cover, Venice. It does actually say, yes. Exquisite and otherworldly society of the 18th century castrati, the delicate and alluring male sopranos whose graceful bodies and glorious voices brought them the adulation of the royal courts and grand opera houses of Europe, men who lived as idols, concealing their pain as they were adored as angels, yet shunned as half men. As we are drawn into their dark and luminous story, as the crowds of Venetians, Neapolitans and Romans, noblemen and peasants, musicians, prelates, princes, saints and intriguers swirl around them, Anne Rice brings us into the sweep of 18th century Italian life, into the decadence beneath the shimmering surface of Venice, the wild frivolity of Naples, and the magnetic terror of its shadow Vesuvius. It is a novel that only Anne Rice could have written, taking us into a heartbreaking and enchanting moment in history, a time of great ambition and great suffering, a tale that challenges our deepest images of the masculine and the feminine. It was a really good story. Next up, this was a trilogy. This was her Sleeping Beauty trilogy. So there was The Claiming of Sleeping Beauty, Beauty's Punishment, and the third volume was Beauty's Release, which I did have once. I lent it to someone and never got it back. But it's the erotic version of Sleeping Beauty, basically. I'll say no more about it than that on this channel. Next, Servant of the Bones. This is one of the ones where she was starting to veer towards religion quite a lot. So, Azrael is a rebel ghost who holds in his memory the long and troubled history of Western civilization. Born almost 2,500 years ago in Babylon of a wealthy Jewish family in exile, Azrael is forced to take the role of a god for 3 days, paying for his people's freedom with an eternity of half death, half life. Caught forever between heaven and earth, his restless spirit can be called forth by whoever holds the casket of golden bones and understands its arcane mystery. From the household of an ancient Greek philosopher to the deathbed of Alexander the Great, from the Mongolian steppes to a pogrom in 14th century Strasbourg, where Jews were made scapegoats for the Black Death, Azrael bears witness. And finally, in the present, he is summoned to witness and avenge a brutal murder on Fifth Avenue. The dead woman is Esther, stepdaughter of Gregory Belkin, fanatical messianic leader of a worldwide cult, the Temple of the Mind. Belkin, as the world knows, is the son of the Holocaust victims, but he has a secret history which binds Azrael's fate to his. Angel or demon, lured by Belkin's magnetism and riches, yet swayed by instincts he has almost forgotten, Azrael is caught up in a dizzyingly malevolent plot which could destabilise the world. So yes, basically that guy Belkin, he's got a load of poison gas that could wipe out most of the planet, and he's planning on wiping out all of the planet apart from Europe and North America, because he doesn't think any of the others are worthy of living. Next up, Violin. This is one of another of her passion type novels, like say Cry to Heaven and The Feast of All Saints. Conjures up another ghost from the pantheon of the undead, the mesmeric and dangerous Stefan, part incubus, part inspiration. The 19th century violinist appears on the street corner in 20th century New Orleans to haunt Triana as she grieves for the death of her husband. Like Anne Rice herself, Triana is one of 4 sisters of a Catholic family. She is in her 50s. Her alcoholic mother died when she was 14, and her own daughter has died tragically of leukemia. That is Anne Rice's backstory. So she's writing from experience, or using those experiences, as she did for Interview with the Vampire. Stefan takes Triana back to Vienna in the early 1800s, where Beethoven was his teacher. In possession of his precious Stradivarius, she becomes an international virtuoso and superstar, but always haunted by the fear that her gift may be illusory. Like a glorious orchestral symphony, different themes and melodies, moods and movements surge and combine. The painful, shocking memories of a mother's death and her daughter's fatal illness, the passionate, uneasy relationship between 4 sisters, the surreal, edgy life of a wealthy superstar, all these vibrate in counterpoint to a savage, glittering tale of violence and music in 19th century Vienna. In the shifting power struggle between them, we see the artist enthralled to the muse and the muse at the mercy of the artist, as the narrative swells to a searing climax in modern-day Rio. And finally, and I got this one relatively recently, but I haven't gotten any of her other recent stuff, The Wolf Gift. This is her werewolves series starting. So she reinvented the vampire legend, discover what she's done with a werewolf myth. After a brutal attack, Reuben finds himself changing. His hair is longer, his skin is more sensitive, and he can hear things he never could before. Now he must confront the beast within him or lose himself completely. And I thought she took her sweet time getting to the good stuff in this one. I hadn't bought an Anne Rice book for a long time. I took a chance on this one. I thought, that's enough for me, so I didn't follow this series or any others. And I know there's other Vampire Chronicles out there as well, so like Prince of Atlantis or something or whatever it is. But for now, I have not bought any more Anne Rice novels. I may dip back into her in due course if there's one that I like the look of, but a lot of her works were getting very religious themed and it wasn't to my tastes. So I stopped buying them. But I do love all of the stuff that I do have of hers. Sure, I shall be reading them all again in due course, especially the Vampire Chronicles. But for now, that is the final part of my Anne Rice book collection. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for a topic you'd like to see discussed, or like the video.